Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Always Aggressive Podcast. I'm Hunter Massengill, alongside head coach Tony Ursuline. Taryn will be joining us in just a minute, Corey behind the scenes. As always, Coach, a couple losses this past weekend against some really tough opponents. Friday night taking on Minnesota, 27-12, final in that one. And then Wisconsin on Sunday, 27-14, final in that one. But still some positives, which we'll get into in a moment. But some of your overall thoughts on the weekend.
Yeah, just maybe one of frustration in that we lost some close matches, right? That you want in any duel against a quality opponent, which obviously both Minnesota, Wisconsin, are quality, highly ranked opponents. So just frustration that we lost some close matches that I thought we could have and should have won. Had it gone a better way, in one or two situations. There's always those key situations in any match where you finish the takedown or win the scramble. You win the match. You send it your way. So just simply a matter of correcting some things. I thought the effort was great. The attitude was great. The big things, are in control. I felt like it's just a matter of situationally being better to win those key matches, which send the duel in your favor. You know what I mean? So, and obviously we were a little shorthanded. I don't know, how much we would talk about Jared Florell, but I do want to give him a shout out. He filled in really well. Went 1-2 on the weekend. Had a big win against Wisconsin, but being a little shorthanded is never a good thing either. So overall. Just maybe a little frustration on situationally. We lost some stuff, things that we should have been a little better at. But rest assured, we'll make those corrections.
Yeah. Well, the first guy I want to hit on today, Devin Schroeder, obviously having a great season so far. 22-4 on the season. He's won 4 straight against some really good competition. Got a big win on Friday night against number 12 at the time by tech fall, and then on Sunday was an exciting match to watch. I mean, you never.
The second and third periods were exciting.
Right. I mean, the first was exciting too, just for the other team.
And kind of the point that I wanted to get to was, I mean, obviously you never want a guy to get in that situation, but it is good to find out that he's got that in him. That even when he gets down, way behind like he was, to be able to pull it through. Went down 8 for anyone that didn't get to see. Went down 8-1 in the first period. Ended up taking the match 9-8 in the final.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Those situations are going to happen, and so it's nice, for Devin to pull that out. Clearly, it didn't go the way we wanted to, but you talk a lot with your guys about. Not only do you want to see your match plans going the way you expect them to, but you expect, you want guys to think about match plans where they encounter adversity and see themselves coming back. And that was, I thought, he did a good job. Down 8-1, I didn't see panic. I didn't see, frustration. Right. I just, I got to pick this up. I got to go get my points. And he knows he's capable. I mean, with 4-point near fall.
That's what I was going to say. Of anyone to be comfortable in that situation, it's Devin, because he just loves getting back points.
Well, and it goes back to the Mike Tyson quote. Everybody's got a plan until they got punched in the mouth, and,
sure.
And Devin got punched in the mouth.
Yep.
And I thought the coolest moment for me was him taking top in the second.
Right.
Yeah. He knows who he is. He knows what he needed to do, and he knew the best way to go about it. He called an audible,
yep.
And went out and made it happen for himself.
Yeah, no doubt. And there was, even when he was on top and he hadn't quite turned him yet, there was some roll around situations that could have gone either way. And like I said, there was no panic. He just stayed with what he needed to do. He got the turn, and then he went in and he got another takedown in the third and finished the ride out like he was supposed to. So overall, you don't want to see your guys put in those situations, right? Like we'd all just have him go out and start rolling people up on top and on his feet, but. I thought he handled the situation really well, and another moment for growth.
Corey, it reminded me a lot of the year Cash Kruger was an All-American at 125. Second round, he drew a guy named Joe Langle from Rutgers. You remember him? Mm-hmm. And Cash got caught in not one but 2 first-period cradles. Was down big, and similar to what Devin did, had to grind out of that hole and come back and
stay alive and got himself out of it.
And and that resulted in a podium finish for Cash that year. So, but it was very reminiscent of that for me.
Yeah.
In thinking when I thought about it after the duel.
I got a quick question. Devin chose top.
Yeah.
How much freedom do you give guys in that? Is it does it depend on the guys and a collaborative effort? Like they look over at you if
Yeah.
they're like, I want to go up. Okay.
That's great. That's a great question. I think a lot of times what we do is, we watch film. Coaches watch more film than the kids. Like I said, we don't. We want the guys to be concerned about their game plan and how they're going to handle stuff. So as we watch film, we kind of get impressions of what we may want to do, and then you run your scenarios, right? I mean, so we're always thinking ahead too about if this comes to us first. If they defer to us, where are we going to go? Or if it comes to Devin first, because he's so good on top, hey, defer, force them to make a decision. So some of them can depend on how the flip goes prior to the duel, right?
Sure.
And you find out who's odd and even and who's going to have first choice, because typically a guy like Devin is going to defer and put him in a tough spot and say, okay, do you want to go down early in the match, or are you going to save us a point? So what does that look like? So when they had when it went to evens, choice went to him first. He deferred to us. So now it's on us. And of course, to me, with him, it's a very easy decision because he is good on top. So but there is more talking behind the scenes with the coaches.
Okay.
We don't always, express to them right away what we're going to do. We ask, hey, look over to us. We'll give you our opinion. But ultimately, these kids are going to be the ones in control of the match.
Right.
You're going to win the match. You got to do what you believe in.
They gotta go
So
do it.
there's a time, they look and say, hey, it's your call. Other times they may look and say, hey, we want to go down now. Just give them our 2 cents. But ultimately, listen, the guys got to believe in how they're going to win the match and make the call.
So did you like his choice there? I mean, obviously going into that situation, going into the second period, he's down.
It worked. So
It did, of course, in hindsight. But going into that period, he's down 8-1. You never know what his mental state is. You kind of feel him out. You saw how he reacted after the end of the first period, so you never know. Are you going to be able to stay
In
on
my
top?
opinion, for him, easy call.
Yeah.
Right. You always want to wrestle in your strongest position. And let me use. I'll use Parker Philly as an example. A match where we won we lost a very frustrating match. One of those key. Okay. Parker's on top. We feel like the momentum is clearly heading our way. We thought we had a young man who was fatiguing and just wanted to get through the match while we were building momentum. Okay. So he's on top. The young man took down. We're telling Parker, hey, 1 but not 2 because we don't want to give up the reversal. Let him in his best position. So clearly when that scramble happened and we lost the scramble, now he's on top.
Yep.
Now we've got to wrestle from his best position. We would have rather have given away the escape where we can get back to hand fighting hard, pushing the pace and getting our attacks off. So that's where those little decisions are huge. So for Devin, no, we want to be in our strongest position, top.
Right.
Great, love the call. Where with Parker, he just held on too long in that top position, got caught up in a roll. To me, that's a decision that we don't want to make again. Understand how you're going to win this match. Let him go, kick him loose for the point. Let's go pick up the pace with our hand fight.
Yep.
Maybe
some more.
he's been called for stalling.
Yeah.
You're down. Get your attacks off, get him called again, get him taken down.
Had already been on his legs 2 or 3
Yeah,
times
been
already
on
in the
his
match.
legs. So that's where these tactical things, right? Those little decisions against quality people, and I think that Wisconsin kid was ranked top 5, maybe 4 even.
Yeah, he's 4
that's
one
where
pull,
those
7
little
in another.
decisions they make a big deal. And so that's where understanding what you have to do to win the match. And to me, it always comes down to put yourself in your strongest position to win, right? That's where you want to be. You don't want to wrestle from somebody else's strength. Let's put us in our strength. And Devin did that. And we missed it coming out of that scramble against Parker.
Yeah.
Now, our effort was good. He showed a lot of promise. Correct the position. We can make that match go our way.
Yeah. Well, another guy having an incredible season, Kendall Coleman. I feel like we talk about him all the time, but it's deserved. Obviously, he's 26-6 on the season. Won his last 5 straight matches. Got a tech fall on Sunday against Wisconsin. Leads the team in takedowns. What is there to say about the redshirt freshman, Kendall Coleman? You guys have to be super excited about what he's done so far, and what his outlook looks like.
Yeah, no doubt. He showed what he's capable of there, and I think that has us all very excited, right? He just needs to learn how to impose that on people a little more often.
Sure.
He's been winning, but I've said it on our podcast numerous times, so I'm tired, sorry to our viewers. But
No, I like it. Say it again.
It's not winning and losing. It's what are you capable of. I want you to perform at the top of your capabilities, and that's what he's capable of. So that represented kind of what he can do on his feet. where sometimes he's gotten slowed down and he's still won, but maybe it's a takedown. And the kid's capable of more than one.
Yeah.
So I think it has us all excited that we saw again what he's capable of, and I think it gets him excited. Now we want him to kind of enforce that and impose that on his opponents a little bit more often. You understand you're not going to get 12 every time out. I get 12 takedowns.
But why not?
Listen, I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. I would love to see 12 every time. If we can get it, sure, that should be the goal.
Yeah.
But if he can even learn, hey, because some of these guys, he's gotten one. You know what I mean? And he's right there. 2, 3, 4. You don't go from 2 to 12, right? Like you connect the dots in between. So great performance, really excited for him. I think he continues to kind of see what he's capable of, and that's what you want.
And I think there's a cool link there between, you can go back to what the situation Devin was in, where he was down 8-1 and whatnot, and he knew what he was capable of. Like, that's kind of a direction that Kendall needs to still go, and the fact that, like, you are willing to take some more risks and take those shots. You read the quote yesterday. If he's willing to take those shots and go after a guy and try and get 12 takedowns every match, it almost, you can give up one. Because you're going to go get 4 or 5 more. Sure. I felt like David Taylor wrestled that way. David Taylor got taken down from time to time because he was too aggressive.
Yeah.
He was willing to throw it all out there and throw it against the wall and see what was going to happen.
Yep.
And if Kendall moves that direction, he's going to get real dangerous.
Yeah, I think from being the ultimate competitor standpoint, that's what you want, right? That's what most people should seek. And I believe that. Like, we train really hard. Our kids are in shape, so I want them to understand, like, one takedown isn't going to beat you. And that will make you a more relentless attacker, because sometimes, and this goes to the psychology maybe of wrestling too, where kids, I've even seen it with bottom. If you're poor on bottom, that will even make your feet less effective, because you're thinking, God, if I screw this up and I end up on bottom, can I get away, and does the match go away from me? So that's how psychology can play a factor in this, and you want kids to understand that, hey, you're in shape, you have good attacks, you can score points, so your margin of error continues to grow. Like, who wants to be put in a position where you are forced to wrestle a perfect match?
Right.
I mean, it just doesn't exist. You want to chase that, right? We all chase perfection. That's why we practice and train and focus on the things we do. But man, you don't want to have to be perfect to win the match. You want to, if we slip and fall in the banana peel, or the referee throws up, something quick that wasn't there. Okay, we got to be able to overcome that, and you got to have the confidence you can. So I think that just goes to why you need to train hard and why you need to be aggressive, so that your margin of error isn't this. Let's make our margin of error big.
You could be down 8-1 in the first period and still
Right.
come back and
And
get a
have
win.
to come back and win.
Yeah.
Yes.
The other thing I liked about Kendall Sunday, 12 takedowns, of course, is so many different types of takedowns, different attacks he used. You'll see a lot of guys, like, they'll rely on the same.
One-trick
Dylan White, he
ponies.
loves his ties, and he goes to that duck under single all the time. Max, his underhooks.
Dylan likes underhooks.
Max,
You heard that before?
Max likes his outside low single. It's a very good shot. Kendall used so many different attacks on Sunday.
Yeah.
Like, to have that varied toolbox, how much of a benefit is that going to be for him going forward?
No, absolutely. I mean, he's kind of been blessed with some skill sets that opens that toolbox up. Every year you want to add to your toolbox. But the nice thing is he's a young man. You know what I mean? And he's got some nice skills in his toolbox already. And if we just add 1 or 2 a year to that, he's going to be very dangerous from lots of positions. And that's what we hope for all of our guys. Just continue to add skill sets to your toolbox. And I don't mean 10 or 12, right? Like, that's where the jack of all, master of none comes in. So you don't want to focus on that, but man, you want to add a couple skill sets just to each position every year, so that you're a more complete wrestler.
Well, speaking of, Corey mentioned Dylan Lighty. He's old hat in our conversations here as well.
Old man in the room.
Yeah, 26-1.
He talks about it all the time too. Dylan often. It's really funny to hear Dylan talk about how old he is, because he's not, obviously. But he definitely considers himself like.
Yeah.
I don't know, grad student engaged. He's like 30.
If you say so, I'll take it. But at the same
Receding
time,
hairline.
right? Okay.
Don't tell him I said that.
Hair's overrated.
26-1 on the season. He's won 5 straight as well. 3 by major decision. Took on
Friday. Friday's major was huge.
Nice.
huge. And then against Skatska, on Friday, which is, always been a back and forth. They've
Yeah.
wrestled quite a bit. Kind of going back to what we were talking about with Devin, how his skill set, you trusted him in that situation. What is it like coaching on Matt's side? Does it change anything for you, sending a guy out there against a guy that he's seen so many times? I mean, have guys said on air, it's kind of like two friends, like old friends, meeting each other on the mat as often as they do. Fortunately, Dylan has come out on top in most of those.
All of
but them. Do you change your approach on the mat side, having a guy go out there against someone so familiar?
No. We really just want to stay focused on what we're trying to do. What I was really proud of Dylan for in that match, though, is I told him, I said, this doesn't have to be close.
Mm-hmm.
Your attacks are good.
And traditionally, it has been. That matchup has been really close.
It's been a 1 or 2 point match
say,
almost every time.
And that's why I mean, as you're all the time, it doesn't have to be close. It doesn't matter what the ranking is. It doesn't matter who the guy is. It doesn't have to be close. Yeah. And I was just really proud that he when he got it going, he didn't take his foot off the gas. He kept coming. The last takedown, he got 6. He got the 2 for the takedown and got near fall out of it. And he was excited. He was emotional. And I love that for him. And by the way, I think he told me he's undefeated in his hammer down cancer singlets.
I'd have to look that up.
We'll double check that.
So I think he's in his mind, he finished his career undefeated.
Dylan Lighty, defender of cancer research.
Yes, right. So, but that's what we're in his ear about, right? Like, just kind of widen the gap. And I was just really proud that against a guy who knows him well, showed him, hey, I can widen the gap between me and other guys. I just need to keep coming and put myself in those positions.
It's not like it was a secret. Like, Skatskin knew what was coming.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It wasn't the first time he'd seen it, and Dylan was still able to impose his will.
Yeah.
And put up a big number on the board.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of those hammer down cancer singlets, raised over $2,600, right? On Friday night.
Almost $2,700.
So that was awesome. My question is,
There's
based
more.
off of what you just said, that Dylan is undefeated in that. What are the rules at things like Big Tens and Nationals for your singlets?
Fair. He's a singlet choice away from national championship.
Can he take one of those with him, maybe for a Sunday at Big Tens?
Unfortunately, we already sold them.
I was going to say they're gone. We auctioned them off.
So get Marty on the phone.
Now, that being
Order
said,
another
It's a great point.
That being said, Mo bought his.
Yes.
So his fiance
Okay.
bought his singlet.
Yeah.
So it's
So
not
he
like
still
it's going to
has
be
it.
real far away.
I'm just saying we should just pick through the rules a little bit, see what the rules are on
it's a
singlets
great point.
at those kind of
not-
I
tournaments.
hadn't thought about that, but that's a great point.
I will add this. Bailey did throw a few more. There were some extra singlets left. And so on the website, on the auction website on PurdueSports.com, if you didn't get a chance to bid on singlets on Friday and you still want one, there is an opportunity to go bid, help us raise more money for the Purdue Center for Cancer Research. You get a really cool Nike singlet.
Those things are sharp too. I love that look.
They were a good look this year, I thought.
Yeah. The one thing I would mention, just to our listeners, I guess, too, because maybe seeking advice on this, is we were told that having kid sizes would help the bidding.
We're looking into it.
So we're feeling like next year maybe not only auctioning off the ones that the guys wear and compete in, which is great and cool, but
Schroeder's pretty small.
we would but we would maybe throw in some kid sizes and see
Devin's isn't a kid
if that works
size.
out as well. So if anybody has some strong feelings on that, that's
Let us
something
know.
we want to look into and see if that's something we should be doing next.
Yeah.
Well, we weren't the only matches this past weekend. I mean, we had a couple big matches in the Big Ten, but I mean, the Big Ten was rowdy this weekend. Nebraska beating Ohio State on Sunday, 20-14. Who's our next opponent? We'll talk about in a minute. But Friday as well, 1 versus 2, Iowa versus Penn State. That was knockdown, drag out that went all the way to heavyweight. Iowa beating Penn State 19-17. Penn State's first loss against a Big Ten team since Iowa beat them back in 2015. So, been a long time since they had lost a Big Ten match.
That's a long time.
Do you get to watch any of those? I mean, I know they were both of those matches were times where we also had matches as well. So, do you spend your Friday night, maybe Saturday, Sunday night after the Super Bowl?
Yeah, obviously I got home late from our dual meet, but had taped it, and then just because these are people we're going to be seeing down the road, you're always watching film, and so I did have a chance to watch the duel. I think it was a great environment. and it's something that we just want to keep building and growing within the sport. I think the dual meet has a strong place in our sport, and I'm even a traditionalist where I really appreciate the end of the year, March with the Big Ten championships and the national championships. I love that environment. These kids get a chance to be All-Americans and national champs, and that's a huge part of our sport.
It's incredible.
As we talk about growing rivalries and pulling younger fans and growing our fan base with more of a casual fan, I think there's a big place for the dual meet, and so we want to keep promoting that. We want our dual meets packed. Whether it's in Mackey or in Holloway, you want that environment. I think it's a great environment. It's something the casual fan can understand and identify more with. So just good for the sport to see dual meets drawing well and creating that kind of momentum.
As a guy who, not a wrestling guy traditionally, with a different background in different sports, the dual is so much easier to follow and I think to get caught up in as a fan. If you're at it and you go to a tournament, there's so much going on. You don't always understand everything. You don't understand how the scoring works. You're not really sure of some things. But the duel is very, you got 10 guys on each team, and they're going to go right head to head, and they're going to smack in the middle.
And it's going to be settled in 2 hours.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Yeah, it's not a 3-day affair.
Yes.
That Iowa Penn State match was crazy. And Carver Hawkeye was nuts.
So I was going to say 15,000 full at Carver Hawkeye.
Yeah, well, and I think if you look, did BTN kick out some numbers where it was one of their most watched events?
It was their most watched wrestling event ever.
Yeah, and even maybe on the week, I think it drew really well.
I'm
not sure of all the numbers, but go check it out because I think it drew really well from a television standpoint.
It was the most viewed event last week over all the men's basketball, all the women's basketball, all the hockey. It was somewhere like 350-some thousand viewers or something like that. It was a pretty huge number.
Yep. And for our sport, like I said, that's a positive thing. That's something
huge.
we want to carry over here and build and grow. Where it's something where I think, like I said, casual fans can be pulled in and really enjoy what's going on.
Yeah, definitely great for the sport. And we don't necessarily have time today, but maybe in the next couple of weeks. You alluded to, the dual meet being so important. I know that there's conversation happening about maybe a dual meet championship, later on, and there's just conversation being talked about. Yeah. So maybe we could talk about that later on in the future. Maybe that's something the viewers at home would be interested in hearing a coach's perspective on, kind of increasing the importance of dual meets later on in the season. Also, some recruiting stuff to talk about, not necessarily new signees, but some of our current signees that we already have that will be coming in next year, having great last couple weeks. Garrett Nightinghouse became an all-time winningest wrestler at his high school with 165 wins.
165 wins, I believe, is the number I saw. So. Yeah.
That's a lot for those playing at home.
He's still building. They have not started their postseason event yet. So he has a lot of opportunities to continue to add to that.
Yeah. Extra cool about Garrett. Pretty amazing to know that he wrestled in. Was it his sectional or his regional on Saturday?
It was team. It was a team sectional.
It was team sectional?
Yeah, because they have their team state coming up.
And then he and his dad jump in the car. And on Super Bowl Sunday, drive all the way over here from Pittsburgh to watch us wrestle Wisconsin.
Love it.
So, pretty cool to see a young man that is that talented and that committed. Kid is all in. Kid is all in on Purdue, and I love it. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Soon enough, he'll just have like a 5-minute walk to get to those.
Can't wait.
And also, Nori, I think you mentioned, pinned his way through sectionals.
Yeah. So Indiana has started their postseason qualifiers. It was the first weekend, this past weekend, and he pinned his way through. So nice to see him get off to a dominant start. And, obviously, you want to see him finish strong.
Yeah, it's exciting to see the guys. We talk about the old hat that we've gotten, Dylan Liney, Christian Bruner, those guys. The new guys, Kendall Coleman. Also to see what the next class will look like.
Jake Rundell just had a big win too, didn't he, Tony?
Yeah, right. That was a couple weeks ago.
But beat a kid that was highly ranked in the state. I know we can't throw names out of other teams' signees, but
he had a loss from earlier in the year that he turned around. Big nationally ranked win. They're getting ready to start their postseason qualifiers as well. So some all around good performances by our three signees, and we're excited to watch them finish. Obviously, we want them here, next summer and fall and add to this team.
Get them training.
Just a lot of excitement there for future Purdue Boilermakers.
Yeah. Well, Coach is very busy. He's got a very busy schedule, so we'll wrap up real quickly talking about Nebraska on Friday night in Mackey.
Lots going on Friday.
Yeah.
Ton going on Friday night. It's in Mackey, so don't show up, kind of waiting around in Holloway until 7 p.m. It's not in there. It's in Mackey.
Go across the little walkway.
But I got these great seats.
Yeah.
Come in the front row.
You will get front row seats at Holloway. Promise those will be open. Senior night as well.
Yeah.
Honoring Dylan Leidy, Christian Bruner, Nate Lennox, all guys that.
Yeah, 3 young men who have had a great impact on the program the last 4 or 5 years. So really going to be special to honor them as well.
And Alumni Night. We got plenty of alumni coming out. If you're a wrestling alumni, I'm sure you've probably gotten emails or you've gotten phone calls. Maybe
we're
from
still
Tanner.
adding people to the list. If this is the first you're hearing about it on the podcast, which we pray it is not, reach out. We'll get you on the list. There's a nice little program planned. I've talked to some of the alums, some of the guys that I worked with back in my early days with wrestling that are coming through.
Yep.
It's gonna be fun to see some of those guys and.
They'll get a hangout in the room if they want to come and watch warm-ups, maybe see some of the facilities. There's social hour, I think, pre and post.
Yep.
And there'll be some coaches talking. So just a lot of fun things for the alumni, and we want everybody back just to kind of catch up on what's going on in the program.
And if none of those things intrigue you, which would be, I don't
Sad.
know who you are that none of those things would intrigue you. This is the last time that you'll get to see the Boilermakers at home. This is the last home duel of the season as well. So Alumni Night, Senior Night, last home duel in Mackey. There's not much more you can throw out there of reasons to come.
Oh, and it should be a great duel on top of
Against-
that.
that was
against
another
team
thing.
coming.
Against number 6 Nebraska coming into town. And obviously a ton of connections there between your staff and Nebraska staff as well. So, I don't want to go off on a tangent here a little bit because you only have a couple more minutes, but
which would be tangential.
it would be
Yes,
tangential.
nice. Throwback.
But the season, the foot starting to get taken off the gas a little bit with the regular season schedule. I mean, you've got Nebraska coming up on Friday, then 10 days until Illinois, 9 or 10 days until Illinois and the next Sunday, and then a couple weeks break after that before Big Ten starts. So maybe a little bit of change in the schedule, change in the routine coming up that you have to keep the guys focused on.
Yeah, no, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more, but yeah, we're at the tail end, right? Our final home duel, and then we go on the road once, with Illinois. But then it's really peaking phase, right? So it'll be really time to where we'll adjust our training because we'll have more time to train without having to compete, right? Like, you come off winter break where you get a chance to really push and hit a mini peak, I would call it, right? So you're ready for the Big Ten season. Well, now it's time to jump to another level, really sharpen these kids, with their tactics and their mindset and how we're going to execute different things. So it's going to be, I enjoy that a lot. I mean, the coach in me really enjoys the preparation as much as the competition. And so I'm looking forward to the next phase where we'll really get a chance to work on peaking for the Big Ten championships and ultimately NCAA.
Well, and everything gets so much more specific with the guys at this time of year. They've done so much wrestling. You look at the fact Kendall Coleman's got 32 matches, Dylan Leidy's got 27 matches. Like these guys have been scrapping for a long time. And so to step back and look at what they've been doing and digest it, and then we sat in that staff meeting on Monday and we got really, really specific on what each guy needs to work on.
Yeah.
And so having the opportunity to step away from competing and really focus on those areas that, clean up those last little things that are give them an opportunity to get as high on the podium as humanly possible is really cool.
Yeah, it's the nice thing about wrestling. It's you've got 10 guys that are all going to score points for your team, but they all have different we'll call them areas of concentration, and it really is going to boil down to their areas, things that those little things they have to do to win national titles, right? I mean, if they can wrestle their match plan all the way through and pull people into their match plan, their tactics, that's how they're going to get it done. So it's all about them executing their own plan.
Well, it'll be very exciting to see these guys that we've talked about today, 20-plus wins, see how much sharper they can get, start peaking towards Big Ten tournament, and that all starts on Friday against Nebraska. So good luck against the Cornhuskers.
Thank you. Yeah, another good battle. Come on out. Like I said, should be a great environment with a lot of good things going on. So
free admission. Let's fill the lower bowl. Let's push up into the upper bowl. Let's see if we can make Nebraska a little uncomfortable.
Yep.
Should be an exciting duel on Friday night, 7 p.m. in Mackey Arena, so be sure to come out and support the Boilers and honor the seniors as well. For head coach Tony Ursuline, Tanner, Corey, Taryn, thanks for joining us. I
Hey,
know you're
sorry for being late.
Thanks for joining us. You as well at home, thank you for joining us. And as always, boiler up.